Hi, how are you? And welcome to the topic of this week. This week we're talking about hydration, which basically is how to keep the correct level, the proper levels of water in our skin, okay? And why is this such important thing? Well, every month we have this shedding process of our dead cells. So basically every month we let go dead cells, and new cells can come up to the surface of our skin, okay? However, if the hydration levels of our skin are not okay, this shedding process is not going to work well, and therefore some dead cells stay in the surface of our skin. When those dead cells mixes with sebum, then the comedones starts appearing. This is what happens. This is the way our teenagers start having acne, okay? Because everything starts with sebum and dead cells that mix together to form comedones, okay? So if maybe we are used to treat the symptoms, but we are not used to treat the causes of the skin condition. So I want you to learn how to take care of the basis, okay? And the basis for having a nice skin, a healthy skin, not just for you, but for your kids, because they are getting to the teenagers, and during this age there are a lot of changes, and we don't want the skin to be a problem for them. So if we want to keep their skin healthy, hydration is such an important thing. I want to be so emphatic on this. That is why we are going to talk about that this week. This week we are talking about the 6 steps on how to keep the hydration level of your kid's skin in the top, okay? So if you want to keep seeing these videos, don't forget to like this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. Okay, let's move forward. Before talking about hydration levels and how to keep them in place, I want to talk to you about TWEL, which is transepidermal water loss, which basically is the amount of water that we lose every day through our skin, okay? So, for example, when we exercise, because the internal temperature of the body increases, the skin, which is the organ that regulates our temperature, releases sweat, okay? But we don't need to sweat to release water to our skin, okay? So when the TWEL is increased, is because we are evaporating more water than is needed. So if we don't take enough water through drinking water or to apply topical ingredients which brings hydration to our skin, maybe we can get to dehydration, okay? So what we need to keep the TWEL in place, and when we have adequate or proper hydration levels, our skin works well, and therefore TWEL works well, okay? But when we don't, then we don't have enough water in our skin because we are releasing too much water, which means having an increased TWEL, and we are not compensating that with the intake of water to our skin. When we understand TWEL, maybe we think, okay, this is like a chicken and egg thing. What happens first, okay? So the thing is, if the TWEL increases, then we evaporate more water. If we can't intake that water, put that water again in our skin, we are going to dehydrate our skin. So, and if that happens, our skin is not going to work properly. And if that happens, then the TWEL increases. So basically, we start making like this vicious circle that affects the healthiness of our skin. That is why we need to use a moisturizer. So I want to focus right now in what does a moisturizer has to have. What is a moisturizing process? Because it's not just about water. It's not just about drinking water. And maybe you think, okay, I drink 2 liters of water per day and that's enough. But the truth is that because our skin is not only drinking water from the inside of our body, our skin is also taking water from the environment. So when we drink water, yes, we are giving water to the body, to our cells, to our internal skin layer. So our external skin layer can drink water from the inside, but we also need to put ingredients that can increase the capacity of our skin to absorb water from the environment. Okay, that is what we call humectants. Okay, also when our skin drinks water, there are like these little spaces where is no water inside. So we also need emollients. Emollients is the capacity of fill those blanks with oil. Then our skin is going to feel soothed, okay, and soft. That is emollient. So a moisturizer has to have humectants, which increases the capacity of absorbing water, emollients, which soothes the skin, filling the blanks with little droplets of oil, and it has to be occlusive. What is occlusive? Is the capacity of make a film in our skin, in the external layer of our skin, and therefore avoid that water that we are putting there escapes through the TWEL. So when we talk about a good moisturizers, these 3 features are needed: humectant properties, emollients, and occlusivity. Okay, so and you know, when we talk about choosing a moisturizer, we are not talking about one single product. Maybe this can be in one product or in several products. Okay, now that we know how the hydration process works, let's talk about the 6 steps that we need to accomplish if we want our teenagers to have the hydration levels in place. Okay, let's start. Step 1. Everything starts with cleansing. We tend to think that if we clean our face and our face remains like this, like so tight and stretched, is because we are having a good cleansing. That is not correct. What is happening there is that our cleanser is so harsh in our skin that it's taking away all the natural oils that prevent our water from escaping our skin. So if you are having that situation, you need to change your cleanser, but it's probably being too harsh on your skin and it's going to cause dehydration sooner or later. Okay, so how to choose a nice cleanser for our teenagers? It's normal that we worry because they are having more sebum and we don't want this oily face anymore. And yes, we maybe can think that having those estrogens that take away all those sebum is okay, but it's not. It has to be made softer. So the best way to clean the face of a teenager for me actually is not just for teenagers in general. Is the 2 steps cleansing. The first step is cleansing with oil. Why? Because it is much softer for the skin to have an oil that mixes with sebum and therefore with the water release the excess of sebum without releasing the natural oils of the skin, and then complement with that water-based cleanser. I wrote a blog about it. I will link the link to have access to that blog and some recommended cleansers that have the 2 steps in place. But definitely, I think this is the best way to keep the face completely cleansed without using any harsh ingredients. It's important to choose for the water-based cleanser to choose cleansers with enough amount of humectants like aloe vera, like glycerin, to have herbal extracts, and to avoid sulfates like SLS, like sodium lauryl sulfate. We have now in the market coconut-derived surfactants that are much softer with skin than sulfates. Okay, so it's important to choose well. I will link the link below. Therefore, you can go and read some recommendations that I made in my blog regarding the cleansing process. Step 2, the antioxidant booster. And here I am talking specifically about vitamin C. And why is this important? As you know, we are all exposed to environmental stressors, pollution, sun rays, and now that we are, we have more global heating and we have more pollution. So for those people like me who live in a very populated city, we need to increase the antioxidant protection, because sun rays, what happens to our skin when we are exposed to sun in a regular basis is that our cells starts damaging, and when that happens, the collagens start decreasing, and when the collagen decreases, our skin start to be less prepared for being hydrated. So yes, collagen also affects the level of hydration of our skin. So we used to think that we only needed antioxidant protection from 30 years old or something, but the truth is that the global heating has been increased, and we have more environmental stressors right now than 20 years ago. So I am the kind of people who recommends using vitamin C since a very early age, like teenagers, okay? Like teenage. Why? Because, first, vitamin C is very good for skin. It's a great antioxidant and helps to protect from sun rays and for this exposure to sun, but also is a great exfoliant. It's a great natural exfoliant. So, especially for teenagers, if they already have this kind of cameras, is going to soft that exfoliation and help the skin to remove those dead cells that were not removed properly and that are causing cameras. So yes, I recommend vitamin C from the very early age, and I'm going to leave you here also a link to my blog where I talk about how young skin starts aging, and there I recommend some natural vitamin C that you can buy for your teenagers. Okay, let's go to step 3, moisturizing. How to choose the right moisturizer for your kids, for your tweens and teenagers kids. Okay, we already saw that we need at least three features that our moisturizer has to have: humectant capacity, emollients, and occlusivity. Okay, to help humectant help the skin to absorb more water from the environment, emollients to soothe the skin, and occlusivity that avoids those ingredients and that water escape from skin through the evaporating process. So, is that all contained in one single product? Not necessary. That is why I refer to moisturizing process more like a process than like a product. We find in the market, for example, this moisturizing process divided, for example, in 2 different products. Maybe a hyaluronic acid serum, which is a great humectant, and keep it in a single product of hyaluronic acid, then can bring like a high percentage of hyaluronic, and then complement it with a light lotion. You don't need to have like a lot of oils in your kid's face. No, you can have a light lotion. Okay, so maybe you can use 2 different products. However, for teenagers, I recommend to keep it simple. Why? Because it's hard enough to convince them to adopt a skincare routine, to make them conscious of how important it is for them to take care of themselves. That I wouldn't present them like 80 products for a skincare routine. I would try to make it as simple as possible. So, for example, in Tweengreens skincare brand that we are about to launch, we try to keep it in one single product, which has great humectants, great antioxidant capacity, and great oil and a small oil phase. They don't need a lot of oils, but this little oil phase is going to keep those beautiful ingredients that are put in a bottle to keep them locked in their face. So for me, for choosing a teenager's product, I definitely would keep it simple. Step 4, sunscreen. We already talked in the step 2 how important it is to keep our skin protected from sun rays and from environmental stressors. So sunscreen is absolutely important for the face of your skin of your kids. Okay, so which one to choose and how to choose that, I will write a blog in the future about it, but for now I want to leave you this message. First, about the SPF, I prefer 50 of SPF instead of 30 or instead of 100 or 70. I think 50 gives enough for protection without being so thick for the skin. Now, between how to choose them, there are like two kinds of sunscreens, mineral and chemical sunscreens. Chemical ones are those that has these nanoparticles that are so absorbed by the skin, and when the UV rays gets in the skin, they I don't know if this is the correct word, but would be like metabolize them. Then the sun rays don't affect our skin. However, because the chemical sunscreen needs to be absorbed by the skin, some studies have shown that probably it could have a hormonal effect in our body. So I try to not using chemical sunscreen. I prefer mineral sunscreen, which are based in zinc dioxide. What mineral sunscreen do is that they create this protective layer in our skin, and they reflect sun rays. Okay, so this way we don't absorb not the sunscreen or not the UV rays. Okay, so I think they are much better for our skin. They are a little thicker. So for our kids, it's hard sometimes to put them because they feel the sunscreen feel a little heavy, and that's correct. They feel that way. Actually, if you use a sunscreen in your teen skin, it's absolutely a must to have the 2-step cleansing process in place, because water-based products don't clean well sunscreens in general. So in change, oil-based cleansers are good for removing that excess of oils that is brought with a sunscreen, and avoid that the pores can clog. So what I want to leave you here is that absolutely important for them to use sunscreen. Please choose one that can be mineral, maybe SPF 50, and can have this light texture in their skin, but don't avoid this step, please. Step 5, face mist. This is not necessarily a must for example, oily skin, okay? But for dry skin, if your teenagers have dry skin, or if we are in cold weather all the time, or or when we are during the winter is a very important step. Basically, what a face mist does is this like spray in the skin, and it contains water and some humectant ingredients and a little of fragrance, and that's it. It's a very simple product that helps to keep the skin hydrated during the day. Remember that when we get, for example, to cold weathers, the amount of humidity in the environment decreases. That is why we need to give an extra help of water to the skin, because the skin is not finding enough water in the environment. So face mist, I would keep it for cold weathers and for those kids who have this tendency to have dry skin or very, very sensitive skin. Step 6. This step is reserved for those kids that have already presenting signs of acne. I mean, if you are the mom of a tween, the mandatory and your kid is not presenting any signs of acne yet, maybe only step 1, cleansing process, step 3, moisturizing, and step 4, sunscreen, and the only steps that are mandatory and should be repeated at night. It's very, very important to have the 2 steps cleansing process, especially at night, because we need the oil-based cleanser to remove the sunscreen, okay? Remember, it's very important, otherwise your kid will have clogged pores, okay? So, what is the treatment? When your kid already has signs of acne, maybe if it's just starting, I would recommend to use a serum that increases cell renewal. For example, I'm preparing a serum with bakuchiol, which increases cell renewal, the cell renewal process without irritating skin, okay? But however, if the acne is already advanced, it's important for you to go to the dermatologist. A dermatologist will probably send some treatment based in acids, which will help also with the renewal process and of those external cells in order to improve the complexion of their skin. So this step is not mandatory, but is absolutely necessary if your kids is already presenting acne signs. Okay, and we got to the end of this video. I hope you have enjoyed it. You know, my purpose is to clean the teen faces from the base. I mean, as a moms, we don't want to wait that our teenager starts showing acne for taking action in taking care of their skin. If we can prevent that with the right skincare routine, especially with natural skincare, and avoid toxins and chemicals in their skin from a very early age. So if you enjoyed this content, please help me share it. Don't forget to subscribe and to activate notifications. And I see you in the next video. Bye.